Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the new Battlefield game. Battlefield 6 just released a few days ago, and I got the Platinum Trophy already. And also, please stop DMing me to get a job. I am completely talentless. This is all I have. But yes, you heard me right. I got every single trophy on Battlefield 6 already, spanning across both the campaign and multiplayer. Now, also, as I was making this video, the Battle Royale mode got leaked, which has trophies, and I honestly find that hilarious. But yeah, like I said, the new Battlefield just released. Its trophy list is also not that bad, consisting of 43 total trophies, and it took me just over 25 hours, although it would have been much faster had I received the game before release like a lot of other people. EA, it's okay. I know you guys don't like me. Don't worry, I don't like me either. But aside from all of that, PowerPix has it rated at a 4 out of 10 for difficulty, and the time estimates vary for the average player because of skill issue, of course. But also, if you play in heavily bot lobbies or heavily real player lobbies, it's going to make it a lot harder or easier. And honestly, it might not be your fault if you are in bot lobbies, depending on what time of day it is. Naturally, bot lobbies make it easier, of course. But beginning the grind of Battlefield 6's Platinum, I started by just playing it. And the way I'm going to organize this video is by going through the campaign first, because I sort of play stuff at random. I had a busy weekend, okay? I was living my life. So, starting off with the campaign trophies, there is 25 in total, one for every chapter completed at least usually. There's quite a few missable trophies inside of the missions themselves, 30 total collectibles, and again, PowerPix's video is very good. In fact, it gives us a near perfect guide to follow as we go about this, which I did follow it. But the Battlefield 6 campaign surrounds the main conflict of this Battlefield game in general and kind of what it's all about. There's essentially two sides in the world right now at war, that being NATO, which if you're above the age of 14, you've probably heard of that. It's a real world organization that is composed of nearly every first world major country that isn't currently at war with someone for the most part. I never took history class in high school aside from my freshman year, so I might be just completely making that up. But then there is the Pax Armada Forces, and this is a PMC group that is being funded by a bunch of elite, rich people that nobody really knows of. They are being essentially just paid to take over countries, topple governments, assassinate world leaders, literally everything bad to ruin the world they are being paid to do. And this game's campaign follows a few Marines as they try to cut off these snake's head before Pax completely takes over. The first chapter is called Always Faithful, and it's the very beginning of the journey. And with this new beginning, you can also get a trophy almost immediately from grabbing a dinosaur figurine that is placed right behind you when you gain access to your character. So I, of course, real fast just grabbed that, and I'm not sure what this is a reference to, but Battlefield 6 has a lot of confusing references if I'm being honest. For one, the Platinum Trophy title is a quote from Avengers Infinity War, a movie that released in 2018, 7 years ago. Anyways, moving on, you and the squad are kind of just chit-chatting. Essentially, the base was packed up to go because we got word that our service was no longer needed and Pax will be taken over. However, all of a sudden, they just attacked the base, and it's basically chaos for the rest of the mission with us fighting Pax. The first of many battles, you could say. Also, shout out to the invisible guns of Battlefield 6. EA. If you guys decided to include your boy in the Cool Kids Club, I wouldn't be showing this right now. Take that, Saudi Arabia. Oh my god! But like I was saying, the base got attacked. We did some fighting. Eventually, there is a classic car riding scene. This is a feature in almost every Battlefield game. But this time, we didn't blow up and crash, and you literally just ride off into the forest to regroup. While regrouping, there also was a trophy here from getting the first campaign collectible in the game. And I'm not sure why it clarifies this as a campaign collectible, considering there isn't any collectibles in the multiplayer mode, as far as I know that is. But here's the trophy pop being our second campaign trophy today. The next part of this first chapter then surrounded us storming a building this time that has servers inside of it containing highly sensitive data that we're after. And since we can't exfil all the data ourselves, it results in us just blowing it up. You fight your way inside. There was some very cool, spooky, dark combat. Shout out to my boy Datavian. You can't even see him in this room. Think about that. Eventually, you also reach the top of the tower as you would expect, and we've been placing bombs on our way up, just an FYI if you haven't played this yet. But once up here, the goal was to simply defend the extraction point. It only took a few minutes, and then our ride came to get us, and we all hopped on, blowing up the building as we flew away. But, yes, there is always a but. Unless you take too much Ozempic, I've heard that. Our helicopter got shot down itself, and then we all fell out of the sky, and somehow we didn't die. The enemies, however, also didn't die, and then periodically ran over to us, with each and every squad member also getting offed every few seconds or so, until it was just us all alone. The main character. Plot armor, baby. Also, shout out to this random person who sent me a friend request in the middle of the most impactful moment of the story so far. I do not want to be your friend anymore. But that then finished the first chapter and intro of the campaign. Some cutscenes played out, basically just showing us getting saved by more Marines, dropping in, and then it ends dramatically with the trophy popping from the first chapter's completion. We then see a little cutscene showing us 1 year later, and this is kind of how the game goes from here. There's a lot of like back and forth between past, present, future. Honestly, sort sort of lost track of what was happening as it was happening. Now, yes, that might be because I wasn't paying 100% attention to the cutscenes, but I did watch all of them. If you're new here, this is a first for ItsIlusion, the most unattentive gamer of all time. But what I'm trying to say is we see this girl a lot in between missions. Now, we could just be showing up at her house all the time. I really don't know. Anyways, in this 1 year later cutscene, it showed our main squad we played as infiltrating this boss lady, CIA operative person who is sort of the woman pulling the strings around the entire world, and you kind of interrogate or intimidate her until it just flashes us to the next mission beginning chapter 2, The Rock. Not the Dwayne kind. In this one's goal had us deployed behind enemy lines to dismantle Pax's radar and anti-air defenses along the coast. A job so important it took up an entire chapter. With the start, you skydive in, which is very cool. Then you kind of just follow orders to where you're supposed to go, shoot, kill, all of the above. Inside of this, however, I would get a trophy called Liquidator from headshot killing 50 enemies in the campaign. Very easy to do this, obviously, and here's the trophy pop. But most of this mission, at least for the first half of it, had us just kind of sniping people and trying to clear this outpost of as many Pax goons as possible. Anyways, moving forward, as we eventually reach underground, this is when things get more serious because we are underground. That's why it's serious. No, but seriously, there was a lot of action here. Also, a trophy called Efficiently from Destroying 10 Mannequins can be gotten, because down here there was an old war museum with mannequins all over it. Before getting that, however, I actually got a different trophy called Dogs of War from picking up 5 campaign collectibles. Very simple, here's the trophy pop. But then as chaos began getting strung around us, I did get that Destroy 10 Mannequin trophy, and here's that popping as well. Now, for the rest of our time down here, there was just more combat until eventually we crawled our way back outside into the beautiful and gorgeous air that is outside air. I don't know why I'm sniffing the air. I'm inside a musty studio right now. It's disgusting. But once back outside, this strung us to our real goal, being to get rid of those air defenses, which we now have reached. How nice, am I right? And while going through these camps, eradicating enemies one by one, I eventually upped the ante, and I eliminated them 3 by 3, getting a trophy called 1 stone from eliminating 3 enemies with a single grenade. I found a great spot, took my shot, and it landed. As a wise man once said, you miss a lot of the shots that you don't take, or something like that. I can't remember. But the rest of this mission just had us doing the same destroy aerial guns thing until we, destroyed them all. But then it ends and we actually didn't get a trophy from it. I could have sworn there was one for every chapter, but I guess I was wrong. So it then throws us into the next chapter right away. And I'm not sure if there was no trophy just because these are both connected in a way or not, but this one was called Operation Gladys, dropping us into the battle for Gibraltar. I definitely just said that wrong. And we were essentially just trying to rid Pax of life once more, which is again the plot for this entire game. And it basically begins with us just manning this water tank thing, and you can get a trophy right away from just shooting these 3 floating mines that you're heading towards this beach, and it's honestly a very easy objective to do. However, my trophy was bugged and it did not pop after I tried this numerous times, so I eventually just reset my game and then it popped as I loaded back in. Battlefield 6 might not have the best trophy tracking, which is shocking considering EA is apparently worth over $55 billion. What the fuck? But the rest of the chapter after that had us in this tank thing for a while. Eventually you do get out and the goal became getting to City Hall, which was obviously entrenched behind hundreds of Pax soldiers. So we did our due diligence duty and killed them all. Mass murder, my favorite. During this execution, I also did reach 10 total enemy vehicles destroyed in the campaign, which is a trophy called Armor Annihilation. And here's that popping. I'm also pretty certain this is natural with how many times you have to destroy vehicles just in general as you play. Eventually we did reach the City Hall and we also spotted one of our men getting put down like my childhood dog. I'm just kidding. He didn't get shot in the face. He got fucking ran over by a truck. This is still tragic. But this then led us to storm the place, which wasn't the initial goal in fear of our dude being killed. Seeing as that no longer matters, who cares? After the dust settled, we pretty much got nothing out of it. Everyone was gone. The Pax commander we were after was also gone, so we just exhaled out and then the mission ends abruptly. This time the trophy from it did pop though, and I actually do think this is from both of those because it's called Rock of Gibraltar, which combines the 2 chapter names. Quick math. There was then a little in-between interrogation tying together pieces of the story like I already said happened throughout the campaign, and I actually really like this style. IGN didn't, and they gave it a 5 out of 10, which is just insane considering these motherfuckers thought that She-Hulk was a, what the f is going on here? Anyways, sorry, back to the campaign. It then thrust us into the next chapter being called Night Raid, a mission entirely composed of us doing a night raid. I've been doing a few of those myself recently, except to the pantry, and I gained 34 pounds. I'm just kidding, I'm not queso. But the night raid mission had us at first trying to get into this heavily guarded house, which was imprisoning one of our informants that had a very important piece of information on him. However, the plan kind of gets shut up when we started to shoot up Pax's forces, and you just result to fighting instead of sneaky. Inside the house, though, I also got a trophy from finding my 10th collectible, which was cool, and here's the trophy popping. You then find the informant, and the guy is bleeding out. He is dead. Give him a thumbs up as his final act of life.
Okay, buddy, you are not okay.
Now, we couldn't get the info we needed from him, but instead we just resorted to cutting off his thumb because apparently he had some RFID chip inside of it that could give us what we needed. However, to get what we needed from the thumb, you have to exfil out. And that's the entirety of the mission now. Just don't die. Simple, right? Well, no, because I forgot to mention this, but there wasn't the trophy on this mission. And it's also the only trophy in the entire game that is specific to how you play a mission. You must do the entire night raid level using only pistols. And apparently you can also use knives and gadgets, but right now from what I've read, this does void the trophy, so that's kind of dumb considering it says, you know, you can use them. I don't know, to be honest, I didn't chance it, I just went solely with the pistols, but this made it very hard to get through the level, and even on the easiest difficulty, the bot enemies still do occasionally bend us over. Also, ammo was a big issue for me, and it kind of was the entire game. Battlefield 6 is very advanced, yet nobody had extra ammo packed. I swear to God, in multiplayer, my character didn't even pack an extra magazine half the time. Like, what are we doing, bro? But in night raid, you just fight enemies the entire time, moving closer to exfil. Right at the very ending, there's also an enemy helicopter, and naturally, we can't take it down with normal means. So this is the one time when you're allowed to use a different gun than the pistol, that being the RPG. But just use it exclusively on the helicopter, or you will void the trophy. Once taking it down, that then just ends the mission off, and it goes to cutscenes to close it out, showing us right away, and then it just fades away, with the trophy from completing night raid popping first, then being followed by the pistols on the trophy right after. Once more, we were then back in the house, yada da 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 da, and then the next chapter began called No Sleep. Me when I platinum the new game that has the new platinum that I want to make the new video on the new platinum that's in the new game. Anyways, this chapter was all about us responding to reports of PAX operating inside of Brooklyn. But this is bad because there was a NATO summit underway in Manhattan, and if you don't know, Brooklyn and Manhattan are both in the same city. And tensions have been rising, obviously. No, it's not a good idea to have a terrorist organization sleeping next to every world leader, so we have to eradicate them with love. And by love, I mean sledgehammers. And this is so convenient because there's also a trophy from getting 5 kills with the sledgehammer, which is what I did right here, and it popped very easy. And that was unfortunately the only trophy I got throughout the entire No Sleep mission. How sad. So to quickly summarize the outcome of the mission, you pretty much just killed PAX soldiers the entire time. We also got a FaceTime from Kincaid, who is the main antagonist of this game that you don't really see till the ending, but he is like the quote-unquote leader of PAX as far as we are concerned. But the real cool part about this mission happened at the end when we had to navigate the Brooklyn Bridge, which was falling down, or at least just completely in ruin from us actually blowing it up. But we did this to try and stop a train that had service on it, which were about to send off missiles and blow up the NATO summit. I haven't seen a bridge this impactful since 2017. Shout out PUBG.
What a fucking... Oh my God!
But long story short, we at least mostly succeeded in stopping the missiles, although a few did leak out. That then ended the mission off, and you begin the next one right away, and this kind of functioned in the flow as that rock one earlier. But this second parter was called Moving Mountains. We played as Sergeant Dale Murphy once more. We basically just had to protect the president because PAX is trying to assassinate him big time. But right in the beginning, before even reaching Sir President, I also got a trophy called Bullseye Blitz from landing 6 consecutive headshots. And I did it almost first try. Very, very easy because I'm so good at aiming. But then we did reach the president, and he was all fine. I also did get another friend request. God, I'm so cool. Thank you all for wanting to be my friend. It means a lot. Please send me more. After talking to the president, you then begin scouring around because it is by no means safe for transport. And the first goal is to find a drone sender because drones have been added to the war and are now bombing us. This is not the intention for AI. It was supposed to just give us all girlfriends according to Mr. Musk here. How is this the wealthiest man alive? I don't believe this shit. Anyways, the drone center was just under some bridge in a park, and we literally just fought a few PAX enemies, then blew it up, and that cleared the area good enough for President to request our service. And this led us into the ending of the mission, just riding around in a car with a turret. It was actually a lot of fun though, I can't lie. We would also end up falling to the subway at some point, which was a neat direction. Anyways, you just fought in the subway for a little bit, eventually going back up as usual and then fighting more. I also managed to find my 20th collectible of 30, and I got a trophy from that called Wolves of War, and here it is popping. You then go back to fighting enemies, and by enemies I mean every single goddamn enemy to ever exist. This fight lasted a long time. At the very end, the president also did manage to get away safely, by sheer grace barely making it. However, we wouldn't exactly because we ran into Kincaid, the previously mentioned villain of 5 seconds that I did mention earlier. there. Our boy Has also totally failed to save us, and then through this failure, he got shot and died. But yeah, Kincaid basically just made fun of us for a minute or two. I'm pretty sure his breath also reeked. He just looked like the type, what can I say? But as Hez bled out, the mission ended, and I got a trophy called Secret Service from those two missions combining once more into one trophy. Again, another house scene then happened before teleporting us to the next chapter, being called the Nile Guard. A bit of a different approach this time to the game, having us play as someone completely new. Also, this is the fastest mission in the game, literally taking like 10 minutes to do and consisting of us in a tank for nearly the entire thing, just fighting other tanks. And that's why I want to say a huge thanks to today's sponsor, World of Tanks. No, I'm just kidding, but that would have been a great transition. Instead, I want to say thanks to OnlyFans.
Know your fucking place.
Alright, so back to the Nile Guard mission. Like I said, it's almost all just tank combat. And in this, I also got a trophy called Roadside Assistance from collapsing an overpass on a tank. Very, very cool and easy. So here's the trophy popping from just shooting it down. I then just kind of did the mission. Again, it was fast. The fastest mission of the game. And it just ends once you get through the one and only real hand-to-hand combat portion and reach the crashed helicopter with one of our boys inside of it. You then pull him out and it just fades away with the trophy popping. Why was this a mission in the game? I honestly don't know. Maybe the Saudis who purchased it wanted their country's gorgeous scenery to be included or some shit. God, oil rigs, so beautiful. But that then led us into the final missions of the game, being called Operation Ember Strike and Always Forward, which are the names of the two final missions. Sorry to clarify, I need to make this video longer so I feel good about myself. Anyways, Operation Ember Strike had us in the mountains of Tajikistan, where PAX has entrenched itself behind layers of anti-air defenses. Our mission is to take out all of the same sites once more, a lot like a previous mission we did way back in the beginning of the campaign. Running out of ideas, are we, EA? It's okay, so am I. So in summary, this mission was actually very fun. It's quite long just because it's more open world in comparison to the previous missions, but you can get quite a few trophies on it. I'm just kidding, you can only get one. It's called Being Watched, from spotting a total of 20 enemies with the drone, and this is very easy to do as you would expect. Just throw the drone up a bit out of combat and you should get it in no time at all. Once I did the trophy then popped in, here it is. Moving on, you then just destroy the same sites like mentioned, but that apparently wasn't enough, so then you have to destroy the entire dam of these mountains and cause a massive natural disaster that is also a man-made disaster. But hey, it looked very cool and it was a lot of fun. Although I feel like the water should have definitely flooded us more than it did. We kind of just sat right by it and I enjoyed the mist. But it's okay because I did get a trophy after the mission ended, which was awesome, and here it is. So that then led us to the finale, Always Forward. A mission consisting of us storming a PAX facility once more, but this time it was a lot more important than just destroying a few anti-air guns. We had to destroy or just stop the launching of 4 hypersonic missiles carrying NXC warheads. Once launched, they would decimate mainland Europe in just 30 minutes. Now that's fast. My Wi-Fi can't even download Battlefield 6 that quick. Now in the mission for the first part, you just do the usual fighting, getting through enemies, making it to our real objective. But then after an airstrike gets called into place, it's time to really go for it. And you pretty much just run through enemies for the rest of this disable launcher objective strain. Obviously, there's a lot of fighting. At one point, we also took out a fighter jet, which was neat. However, the actual disabling of the launchers was done by one of our squad mates, and we kind of just watched with our penis in hand, if you will. So that's a bit lame, but it's okay, because once going to launcher Bravo, I got the final missile trophy of the game called No Reinforcements, from racing to this helicopter's landing position and shooting it before, you know, reinforcements came out of it. And here's that trophy popping. I then just drove the tank over to the final launcher. The boys disabled it or whatever they were doing. We had to take out a few more enemies, but then a bunch of explosions happened and we had to run into the bunker before it shut. Once inside, the final objective of the campaign then began. Find Kincaid, the villain, as I mentioned, for a total of 34 seconds so far in this video. To get to him, there was just combat with enemies, but I did find the final collectible of the campaign, which is cool, and here it is, trophy popping from that as well. Anyways, you then just fight enemies until reaching Kincaid, and the ending of this game is very weird. I feel like it could have been much more dramatic, but you literally just break into his spot. He's running around, you kind of just shoot him. It's very weird. Like, I mean, come on, it just does not work in my opinion. EA, I love you. I'm just kidding. You then talk to Broski for a bit. He kind of mentions how everything is corrupt, nothing is what it seems, that bitch we have been interrogating in between missions is the real villain, all of that BS. But then there was one more gameplay portion having us run away and axe before the entire area blew up, and as you are flying away, the entire area does blow up. I mean, just look at this destruction. That's a lot of damage. And here's that final trophy popping from finishing the campaign. There is still one more cutscene though, and it had us back at the house. Long story short, this bitch was evil and we shot her, at least allegedly. So that was the Battlefield 6 campaign finished with, but we are missing one more campaign trophy, and it's called Peak Performance when completing any level on the hardest difficulty. So I just real fast replayed that tank level because it's by far the easiest, fastest, all of the above. Upon finishing it once more, then platinum popped, and here it is. Now we are officially 100% done with the campaign trophies, and it's time for multiplayer. And there really isn't a stage for this set of trophies itself. Most of them are gotten through normal play, or at least progress by just playing normally. You do have to reach rank 25 for the level trophies. However, you will be at that before finishing them all, so it's not to worry. And the first trophy I got was just from getting 129 kills in multiplayer itself, which is very easy and simple. And I'm honestly just gonna kind of speed through some of the more boring ones because this video is already longer than I usually make them. So the next trophy I got was then called Heavy Weaponry, from getting 5 kills with LMGs without reloading. Oh, would you look at that? I couldn't reload if I even wanted to. So yeah, this basically just left me with getting 5 kills with an LMG. And it's really not hard to do this considering bots are in most matches, which helps, but also LMGs are fairly good in Battlefield. Upon landing my 5th kill before running out of ammo, I got the trophy pop. A bit later on, and then just reached rank 9 for my first leveling trophy, and here it is. Now, quite a while later, hours even, I managed to run over an enemy with an ATV. Probably the saddest thing to get hit by, but it's a trophy called Road Rash. Very funny game, very funny, and here it is popping. I then just reached rank 14 after for yet again another level trophy, and here's that. But then at this point, I did finally use my resources because some of these multiplayer kill trophies are very challenging. For example, getting 5 multi-kills is actually quite hard considering a multi-kill is a 5-piece, and that's not easy on real players, especially if you're as good as I am at FPS games. So what I am trying to say is I ended up joining some portal lobbies with other trophy hunters, the codes of which I found scattered throughout the PowerPix trophy guide comments, and it made getting these far easier than it would have been against real players. The bots, however, in eligible games that count for trophies and stats are actually kind of good. They aren't insane, but they will sometimes kill you almost on sight, or I mean they won't, which is why this is still a good farming method. Anyways, the first trophy I got to my new portal farming method was called 5x5 from getting 5 multi-kills. I also did have a lot of progress to this before starting this, so it popped almost instantly, which was nice to see, and here it is. But I then began to farm out trophies with a bit more purpose, choosing next to go for 6 sidearm headshot kills, and I found this pretty hard. That's because I have a skill issue. Not all of us are great at video games, okay? But again, on bots, this is far easier, and I got the trophy right here after my 6th sidearm headshot kill in a match. For the next hour, I then took up sniping to get the trophy Stolsternation. I definitely just said that wrong. But it's from getting 250 total kills with snipers as the recon class. And this doesn't have to be in one match, so it's actually pretty easy. It just takes some time. I also did suck at sniping at first, which did not help. I would go on to get pretty decent after time passed, but this trophy popped far before that. And here it is upon my 250th kill. And there is also a trophy from capturing 128 conquest objectives in this game. And I would finally capture my 120th objective in Conquest, which was the main mode I played for this platinum only a few minutes after the sniper trophy, which is very cool. And here's a trophy from that popping as well. I then farmed out a more annoying trophy they get, being called First Blood 2, from performing 10 takedowns in a match. Takedowns are the traditional melee execution in this game, and what makes getting 10 of them in a match so hard is because you have to get 10 of them in a match, meaning it needs to be your main goal the entire time, or you know, you just won't have enough time. And getting the takedowns themselves are very hard, especially on bots, because even if you run behind them, sneaking or proning, they almost have a 6th sense and they just snap around and kill you. Also, trying to run in circles around them is almost impossible because they just rotate and track you with their aim. That can only be trained with a computer. I love it so much. My method after a while eventually became to just sneak as best as I could, but also getting lucky with dumb bots was a big help. I eventually managed to get 10 here that trophy pop. I then quickly got a trophy called Super Bomb Man from arming or disarming 5 MCOM explosives in a match, and I did it on the portal map meant for it, which made it very easy to farm it out, and I got it in only about 5 minutes, so here's that popping. 2 hours later, then finally I reached rank 25, the final leveling trophy. Very basically just a trophy pop. Now I only have a few more trophies to get, most of which are very annoying. The first one, however, called Frontline, was not, just from taking or defending 41 sectors in Breakthrough, which is very easy for me to do passively while I did grind out those 1,996 revives trophy, called a Joyful Nurse. This is by far the most grinded trophy of the game, and the most tedious trophy along with it. And if not for the revives boosting session I did, this would have taken me legitimately 20 hours to get alone. It's that bad. But with this lobby, we sort of had an understanding that players would just revive peacefully, at least for the most part. Some lobbies were better than others, but I basically just sat in it for an entire evening with some other legends and revived people. Some matches I only got like 40 revives, others I got record highs of over 200. It truly was a roller coaster. But it all took place in Breakthrough, and I got the 41 take or defense sector trophy about 10 minutes before the revive trophy, and here it is popping. Now, like I said, about 10 minutes later, I then finally got my 1,996 revive, and the trophy popped. Good God above, I have no words. But I then farmed out 2 similar trophies that aren't really that hard, more just annoying, I guess, called Wrench Monkey and the Little C4 Knocking on Your Door. Both relating to vehicles and vehicle damage, except one is repairing the vehicle, and the other is, well, destroying the vehicle. Wrench Monkey being the repair one, I got by just being the engineer class, and kind of just riding alongside tanks or with tanks in conquest modes as they fight, get blown up and damaged, and then you just repair them the best best you can. I did this in about 2 full games going for it. I got very lucky with one game having a good ass tank getting damaged for mostly the entire time, with me just suckling aside as it happened. So shout out to whoever that was, I love you. And once I got enough, the trophy popped, and here it is. Moving on, the C4 trophy was then just from dealing 2,000 damage to tanks with C4. Now you have to do a little objective to unlock this, but it really isn't hard, and I did it while in the revive farm lobby, so not much of a challenge there. But then actually doing the trophy with the C4 and dealing damage is hard as fuck. And it's entirely because tanks, when they see you, will most likely blow you the fuck up immediately. You don't normally get to just run around enemy tanks and hold hands like it's a fucking traditional Christmas party saying grace before the family dinner meal. No, instead you just get shot and die, and I did a lot. It hurt my feelings, okay? But eventually I did, manage to deal enough damage. Trial and error. I wanted to crash out, not gonna lie. But once dealing the damage, the trophy popped, and here it is. Best of luck to those of you who go after this. So my final trophy was then called the Medal of Honor, from getting 414 Acts of Valor in multiplayer. You might be wondering, what is that, Its Illusion? What is a Medal of Valor? Well, little guy, it's just an accolade. Gone from numerous things like multi-kills, headshots, long shots, revives, revenge kills, pretty much anything aside from just normally killing one enemy at a time is an accolade. And you get tons of them as you play. This is also one of the most gotten trophies on Battlefield 6, so I was just awestruck that I hadn't got it yet, but I didn't think too much about that, and I just kept on playing for a few hours. However, after I had a game where I dropped a few hundred kills, I thought, hey, something's probably up here. So I went into my accolades and I counted the ones I had completely, tallying up to over 500, almost 600. Now the trophy only requires 414, so why isn't it popping? Well, I have no fucking idea why it's not. I searched the internet, Reddit was no help like usual, but the PSN profiles forum also had a lot of people who couldn't get the trophy, and I've come to the conclusion that it just tracks like dog shit. It elongated my playtime like crazy, and it makes me really wonder where that $55 billion EA got given to them from Saudi Arabia went to. I would love to know. Tell us, please. Because certainly it isn't going to game development with how ass Battlefield 6's servers are. Oh yeah, you didn't know? Nobody can make new Portal games right now because their servers are full apparently. Why are we still cutting cost after getting paid billions of dollars before the game sales even came in? Like seriously, what the fuck? So yeah, this trophy just does not track well. I kept on playing until it popped, and I guess it eventually did at random, with the Platinum Trophy popping as well on Battlefield 6. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Battlefield 6 Platinum Trophy explained by an idiot. Yours truly. In conclusion, I think the game is actually very good, trophies aside. It's very fun. It plays great besides the servers not being optimized well. I think it's a solid 8 out of 10 video game for me, all things considered. Now, it is also a lot like Call of Duty. The campaign felt like a straight up COD campaign at moments. The gameplay itself is also very Call of Duty-ish, but hey, that's not an issue. COD has been in the shitter for years now, so why not take its throne, EA? I see you. But yeah, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all once more in the next one. Thanks for watching.